What if I told you that your suffering, your stress, your anxiety, isn't caused by your circumstances, but by your own thoughts? In this life-changing book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, Joseph Nguyen reveals a shocking truth. Thinking is the root of all suffering. Most of us spend our lives trapped in our minds, overanalyzing, worrying, doubting, without ever realizing that freedom doesn't come from more thinking, but from letting go of it altogether. This book doesn't just teach you how to think differently, it shows you how to transcend thought entirely and return to your natural state of peace, clarity, and joy. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like something is missing, this might be the answer you didn't know you were looking for. Watch this video till the end, because what you're about to discover could completely transform the way you see your mind, your emotions, and your entire life. Introduction: what you're about to discover and why it might just change everything. There comes a moment in life, sometimes after a crisis, sometimes in the quiet hours, when we pause and ask ourselves, is this it? Is this all there is? Maybe you've felt that. Maybe you're feeling it right now. If you are, then this book has found you at the right time. And I don't say that lightly. This isn't just another book filled with recycled wisdom or motivational fluff. This is a guide, a deeply personal, soul-awakening journey that will take you beyond information and into insight, into truth, and ultimately into the life you were meant to live. We cannot change what we are not aware of, and once we are aware, we cannot help but change. This book is written for those who are done waiting for the world to change, for the pain to pass, for clarity to arrive. It's for anyone who's ever felt like something important was missing, even when everything on paper looked fine. If you're reading this, chances are you're searching for something more. More peace, more purpose, more love, more you. And here's the truth. You are not broken. You've just been looking in the wrong places. What's inside this book isn't just insight, it's transformation. You will not walk away from this book unchanged. You cannot, because once you see, you cannot unsee. This isn't just a promise, it's a reality echoed by thousands who've embraced the truths found within these pages. From massive leaps in income to deeper relationships, from overcoming addiction to discovering unshakable peace, the results are real, powerful, and lasting. But let's be clear, the true transformation is internal. Yes, the outer world will shift, but only because your inner world will be revolutionized. This book will not teach you how to chase money, status, or success. It will guide you to something far more valuable, the feeling behind the chase, the love, the peace, the fulfillment, the wholeness. Those feelings are not at the top of some mountain, they're already inside you. You've just forgotten where to look. How to get the most from this book? This is not a book you read with your eyes, it's a book you read with your soul. Don't read for information, read for revelation. Don't try to memorize. Feel, listen, experience. Truth isn't intellectual, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's visceral. And the moment you feel it, you'll know. You'll feel like you've come home to a place you've never been, but always remembered. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be wealthy, educated, enlightened, or ready. You just need two things: an open mind, a willing heart. If you have those, and if you keep them open, everything you're looking for will start to unfold in ways that defy logic and surpass expectation. A word of caution and a spark of urgency. This journey is not for the faint of heart, because awakening to truth means letting go of illusion. And letting go hurts. It's uncomfortable. Your ego will resist. It will whisper, it can't be this simple. It can't be this real. But here's the secret most never learn. Truth is always simple. That's why we overlook it. In a world of noise and chaos, simplicity becomes your compass. Let this book be your guide back to simplicity, back to stillness, back to self. Because the most dangerous thing you can do in life isn't failing, it's surviving without ever truly living. So if you're ready, really ready to remember who you are, why you're here, and what's possible, then take a deep breath and turn the page. Your new life begins now. With all my gratitude, the journey to finding the root cause of suffering. People have a hard time letting go of their suffering. Out of a fear of the unknown, they prefer suffering that is familiar. What if everything you've been told about suffering, why it exists, how to overcome it, and where it comes from, was only half the truth? This chapter is not just an invitation to reflect. It's a call to wake up. Because what's at stake? Just your happiness. It's your entire life. Let's be clear. When I speak of suffering, I don't mean the pain of a broken bone or the grief of losing someone dear. I'm talking about the suffering that haunts us in the silence of our minds, the shame, the anxiety, the restlessness, the gnawing emptiness that shadows our joy, even in our best moments, the kind that quietly steals years from your life while you're still alive. We all carry pain. That is a universal truth. But suffering, emotional and psychological torment, is not pain's inevitable companion. In fact, it's often the prison we build after the injury has passed. Buddhists illustrate this with a powerful metaphor. 2 arrows. The first arrow is life. It strikes unexpectedly, a breakup, a job loss, a betrayal. It hurts, yes, but the second arrow, that's us. That's the story we tell ourselves about the pain. This always happens to me. I'll never be enough. I'm broken. And that second arrow doesn't just hurt. It bleeds us out. But here's the radical truth. The second arrow is optional. I remember reading this Buddhist teaching and feeling a surge of clarity followed immediately by confusion. How do you choose not to suffer? How do you not react to pain? Isn't that just who we are? So like many of you might, I went searching. Desperately. I consumed every self-help book I could find, studied the intricacies of human behavior, dove into ancient philosophies and modern psychology. I experimented with discipline, structure, shadow work, and stoicism. I meditated, I fasted. I woke up at 4 a.m. I traveled in search of wisdom, sought answers from therapists and spiritual guides, and chased healing in every form it was packaged. And yet, despite all of it, I was still suffering. In fact, the deeper I went, the more I realized I was just rearranging the furniture in a burning house. I was treating symptoms, not the disease. I had built a beautifully curated life on top of unresolved pain. Until one day, at my lowest and most exhausted point, I found something, or rather someone, who showed me what I had been missing all along. One of my earliest mentors didn't hand me a new set of tools. He handed me a mirror. And what I saw changed everything. He taught me that the source of my suffering wasn't the world, or the people in it, or even my past. It was the way I interpreted all of it. The way I constructed meaning around my experience. The way my mind filtered reality through stories I didn't even know I was telling myself. And just like that, I began to understand. Suffering doesn't come from the events of your life. It comes from the lens through which you view them. That was the turning point. Not a motivational quote. Not a new hack. A fundamental shift in how I saw myself and the world. From that moment, I stopped trying to fix myself and started learning how to understand myself. I stopped chasing external validation and started observing the patterns of my own mind. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the suffering began to dissolve. Not because my life got easier, but because my perception of it got clearer. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It demands courage, the kind that faces your own inner chaos without flinching. But if you're reading this, something inside you already knows it's time. Time to stop surviving and start living. Time to stop bandaging wounds that were never yours in the first place. Time to confront the root, not just the rot. What lies ahead in this book is more than knowledge. It's a blueprint, a way to finally break free from the mental and emotional chains you've carried for far too long. Because you don't have to keep suffering. You never did. Now, let me show you why. Chapter summary. This chapter explores the distinction between pain and suffering, emphasizing that while pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice, one that stems from how we interpret and react to life events. The author shares a deeply personal journey through countless self-help methods, spiritual practices, and psychological tools in search of relief from emotional suffering. Despite his efforts, true transformation only began when he discovered a fundamental truth. Suffering originates not from external events, but from our thoughts about those events. The root cause of suffering lies in the misunderstanding of how our mind works and how our internal experience is created. As the Buddha taught, the first arrow, pain, is inevitable. The second arrow, suffering, is our reaction, and that's optional. Action point. Instead of trying to fix everything externally, begin turning inward. Reflect on the idea that your thoughts, not your circumstances, create your emotional reality. Start observing your reactions without immediately believing them. Let go of the mental stories that fuel anxiety, fear, and frustration. Consider journaling or meditating on the second arrow. Each day, what pain did you experience, and how did your thoughts add to it? The root cause of all suffering. One who looks around him is intelligent. One who looks within him is wise. There is a silent force that shapes our lives far more than we realize. It's not our bank account, not our job title, not even our circumstances. It's something far more intimate and infinitely more powerful. It's our thoughts. We do not experience reality as it is. We experience it as we think it is. Our suffering, our fear, our confusion, our dissatisfaction, it doesn't originate from the world outside of us. It comes from within. And until we understand this, we remain at the mercy of illusions. Let that sink in. Two people, same room, same coffee shop, same scent of roasted beans floating in the air. One is drowning in existential dread, feeling lost, unworthy, questioning their entire existence. The other, calm, joyful, sipping their latte with a quiet smile, watching life unfold like a gentle movie. What's the difference? Not the world. It's the lens through which the world is seen. That lens is your thoughts, and it shapes your reality. Imagine asking 100 people, what does money mean to you? You'll get 100 different answers. Freedom, greed, security, stress, power, evil, opportunity, same dollar bills, different meanings, different realities. Or ask the same people how they feel about the president, same leader, 100 perceptions, 100 emotional reactions, some filled with rage, others with reverence. This is the truth we often miss. Events in life are neutral. Our thoughts about them are not. And that is where suffering is born. We suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of what we think it means. A breakup isn't just a breakup, it's a sign we're unlovable. A lost job isn't just a job, it's evidence that we'll never be successful. A critical comment isn't just feedback, it's proof that we're not enough. None of these meanings exist in the event itself. They exist in our mind. This is why people in war-torn countries can find joy in the smallest of blessings, while someone in a penthouse in Manhattan feels like they're failing at life. It's not about what we experience, it's about how we interpret it. So what does this mean for you? It means that you have more power than you've ever been told. Power not just to change your circumstances, but to change how you see them, to reclaim control over the one thing that truly shapes your life, your mind. But this also comes with urgency, because if you don't recognize this truth, you'll spend your entire life trying to fix the outside while remaining broken inside. You'll chase success to feel worthy, chase love to feel whole, chase money to feel safe, and still feel empty, because you're solving the wrong problem. The real battleground is within. And the moment you understand that is the moment your suffering begins to dissolve. Not because life got easier, but because your relationship to it did. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your own mind? Are you ready to take back your power from the illusions that have held you hostage? The clock is ticking. Your life is too precious to waste living in a reality that was never real to begin with. Wake up. Look within. The world you're searching for is not out there, it's in you. The truth about your feelings. The power of perception. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. John Milton. Let's face it, life is hard. Work is stressful, responsibilities are overwhelming, and sometimes, despite doing everything right, you still feel like you're drowning in frustration, anxiety, or even quiet despair. But what if I told you that the root of your emotional suffering isn't your job, your boss, or your circumstances? What if the true source of your pain is your thinking about those things? Imagine this. You're sitting on your sofa, surrounded by the people you love most. Your family is laughing, the TV is playing your favorite comedy, and everything should feel fine. But it doesn't. You're mentally stuck at work, reliving the chaos, the pressure, the deadlines. You're not physically there, but emotionally, you never left. You're fuming. You're tense. You're anxious. And worst of all, you're alone in your suffering, even in a room full of joy. Now, ask yourself, if the job isn't in the room with you, why does it still have power over you? Because it's not the job making you feel this way. It's your thoughts about the job. Your emotions are not reactions to the world. They are reactions to your interpretation of the world. Let that sink in. If external events truly caused emotions, then everyone doing the same job should feel the exact same way. But they don't. One person calls it a dream job. Another calls it a living nightmare. Same role, same tasks, same office. Different internal dialogue, different experience. So here's the uncomfortable truth. What you feel is what you think. And you carry your thoughts everywhere. This realization is terrifying because it means you are responsible for more of your emotional state than you've ever been taught to believe. But it's also thrilling because it means that if your thoughts are the cause, then changing your thoughts can be the cure. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You're one shift in perspective away from peace, from clarity, from freedom. So let's do a quick experiment. Be brutally honest with yourself as you answer this. If I changed nothing about my job, but everything about how I think about it, what might my experience be like then? Feel that flicker of hope? That tiny breath of possibility? That's the beginning of your power, and it's already inside you. The Empty Boat, a Zen story that could change your life. In a quiet forest monastery nestled beside a still lake, a young monk was unknowingly fighting the same battle that millions of us face every day, trying to find peace in a noisy, chaotic world. His struggle wasn't unique. He, like you and me, thought peace was a place. A perfect environment, a bubble of silence. And every chirping bird, every rustling leaf, every footstep felt like an intrusion, a threat, an injustice. Each small disturbance sparked anger, frustration, and inner turmoil. He blamed the world. But what he didn't know was that the real cause of his suffering was inside him. Every time he sat to meditate, his mind went to war with the world around him. His desire for silence made every sound unbearable. His craving for stillness made every movement intolerable, and his unmet expectations brewed a storm of irritation within. After one particularly frustrating session, his mentor asked him a simple, life-altering question. Do you know what is really making you angry? The monk, unaware of the profound lesson ahead, listed everything outside himself. The animals, the wind, the birds, the people. Everything but himself. So the monk did what many of us instinctively do. He escaped. He searched for the perfect environment. He found a boat. He rowed to the middle of the lake where no birds sang, no branches cracked, and no people walked. And for a while it worked. He finally found peace, or so he thought. But one day, as he sat in his floating sanctuary, another boat came drifting toward him. He shouted, warned, and grew furious, until he realized the boat was empty. No one was there. No one to blame, no one to yell at, no one to resent. Just an empty boat, and his own anger. That's when the truth struck him like lightning. It's not the boat, it's me. It's not the people. It's my thinking. It's not the world. It's my mind's resistance to it. He had been fighting ghosts in his mind, giving power to illusions. The source of his suffering wasn't out there, it was within him, in how he chose to interpret the world. And so he returned to the monastery, but this time the sounds, the movements, the interruptions were all just empty boats, no longer triggers of rage, just gentle reminders. What if you've been blaming empty boats your whole life? What if every rude comment, every delay, every insult, every heartbreak was just an empty boat? What if the person who cut you off in traffic didn't even see you? What if the boss who snapped at you was fighting a war you couldn't see? What if all the things that ruin your peace only ruin it because you let them? We live in a world that constantly rocks our boats. People will hurt you. Life will challenge you. Plans will fall apart. You will be misunderstood. But the truth is, peace is not the absence of disturbance. Peace is the absence of resistance. The urgent lesson. Take back your power. You've given too much power to the outside world, Every time you lose your temper, every time you fall into anxiety, every time your day is ruined by someone else's actions, you've surrendered control over your inner world. But here's the truth that sets you free. No one can make you angry. No one can disturb your peace. Only you can do that. The world is full of empty boats. Some will crash into you, some will knock you off balance. But once you realize they're empty, you'll stop trying to fight them and start finding peace within. Final thought. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are only at the mercy of your own mind. The greatest journey you'll ever take isn't across oceans or cities. It's from blame to ownership, from reaction to awareness, from suffering to peace. The boat may hit you, but what happens next is entirely up to you. Welcome to the art of seeing empty boats and finding peace in a noisy world. Pain is inevitable, but suffering, that's a choice we make through thought. Once upon a time, in a quiet forest near the edge of a still lake, a young Zen monk set out on a journey, not across distant lands, but within his own mind. A journey you and I know all too well. The restless pursuit of peace, the struggle to silence the noise, the constant war with the world around us and within. Each morning, this monk sat in meditation with a single desire, to be calm, centered, and at peace. But every day he failed. A creaking branch, the brush of a passing cat, the chirping of birds. And just like that, the quiet within him shattered. Frustrated, he confided in his mentor, blaming everything and everyone for the anger that boiled within. But the elder monk asked him a piercing question. Do you know what is really making you angry? It wasn't the forest, it wasn't the noise, and it wasn't the people. But the young monk couldn't see it yet. So he searched harder for silence. He found a boat and began meditating in the middle of the lake, far from the chaos of life, and for a while, it worked. The noise faded, his breath deepened, he found stillness, until one day a drifting boat bumped into his own. The monk, startled and enraged, leapt to his feet and shouted, "Who's disturbing my peace?" But there was no answer. Because there was no one. The boat was empty, and in that moment, a powerful truth washed over him like the gentle waves beneath his feet. The boat was never the problem. It was his own reaction that created the suffering. Let that sink in. Every situation you've blamed, every person you've cursed, every time you've said, "They made me feel this way." What if they were just empty boats? We spend our lives trying to control the outside world, shouting at the noise, avoiding the conflict, demanding the lake stay still. But peace isn't found in perfect conditions. It's found when we realize nothing has the power to disturb you unless you give it that power. That's not just a Zen fable. That's neuroscience. That's psychology. That's life. Your suffering doesn't come from your job, your partner, your past, or your noisy world. It comes from the meaning you attach to those things, from the stories you tell yourself, from the thoughts you believe. And here's the urgent truth. If you don't learn to master your mind, it will master you. It will turn every boat into a battle, every noise into a threat, every moment into misery. But if you do learn, if you choose to pause, breathe, observe instead of react, then even the chaos becomes calm. Even the storm becomes still. Even the empty boat becomes a teacher. So what do you do now? 1. Next time you're triggered, pause. Ask yourself, is this person really causing my pain, or is it my thinking? 2. Start seeing the empty boats in your life. Recognize when you're projecting anger onto things that have no real power. 3. Practice sitting with discomfort instead of running from it. Peace doesn't come from escaping life. It comes from understanding it. You are not at the mercy of life. You are at the mercy of your own mind. Master that and you master everything. Because the boat was always empty. And peace, that was always within you. Chapter 2 Summary. The root cause of all suffering. This chapter explores a powerful truth. Our suffering doesn't come from external events, but from our thoughts about those events. In other words, we don't experience life directly. We experience our thinking about life. When we become overly identified with our thoughts, especially negative or limiting ones, we trap ourselves in cycles of pain, stress, and anxiety. Joseph Nguyen emphasizes that thought is not reality. It's simply a mental construct. However, because we mistake our thoughts for truth, we suffer needlessly. By learning to observe thoughts without attaching to them, we begin to dissolve suffering at its root. Key takeaways. Thought creates emotion. It's not the situation, but your interpretation of it that causes suffering. We live in a world of thought, not reality. Your inner narrative shapes your external experience. You are not your thoughts. Your true self is the awareness behind them. 1. Practice observation. Whenever you feel triggered or upset, pause. Instead of reacting, observe your thoughts without judgment. Ask, what thought is causing me to feel this way? 2. Disidentify from thought. Remind yourself, this is just a thought, not the truth. Don't believe every thought that crosses your mind, especially fear-based ones. 3. Be present. Engage in mindfulness practices such as deep breathing, meditation, or simply feeling the sensations in your body to anchor yourself in the present moment rather than in your mental story. 4. Let go of control. Accept that you cannot control everything in life, but you can control how you relate to your thoughts about it. 5. Write it out. Keep a journal where you question your painful thoughts using prompts like, is this thought absolutely true? What would I feel without this thought? Why do we even think? I think and think and think. I've thought myself out of happiness 1,000,000 times, but never once into it. Let's pause for a moment and ask the most fundamental question of all. Why do we even think? The answer is deceptively simple: to survive. We are the descendants of those who paid relentless attention to danger, who scanned the shadows, who overanalyzed every rustle in the grass, who imagined every worst-case scenario because missing just one could mean death. Thinking, relentless, exhausting thinking, is what kept our ancestors alive. But here's the truth that most have ever stopped to consider. What once kept us alive is now killing our joy. Your mind is a survival machine. It is wired to protect you, not fulfill you. Its job is to anticipate pain, avoid risk, calculate loss, and prepare for disaster. That's why even in moments of peace, your thoughts can feel like a storm. Why you replay painful memories. Why you rehearse imaginary arguments. Why you're constantly chasing a future that never arrives. This isn't a glitch in your mind. It's the design. Your mind is doing exactly what it was built to do, protect you from danger. But here's the devastating cost. In its obsession with survival, it has declared war on your peace. And the enemy? Everything. Every awkward silence becomes rejection. Every uncertain opportunity becomes a risk. Every vulnerability becomes a threat. And so we live trapped in the confines of an ancient mind, in a modern world that no longer requires this level of fear-driven vigilance. This is the silent tragedy of modern life. We are no longer in danger, but we still live like we are. What you must understand, urgently, is that you are not your mind. You are not the constant loop of anxiety, doubt, and fear. You are the awareness behind it. You are the soul that seeks not safety, but freedom. Not control, but connection. Not survival, but meaning. And until you recognize this split between your survival-based mind and your fulfillment-seeking consciousness, you will always suffer in confusion. Your mind thinks it's helping by keeping you in fight or flight. But true happiness lives far beyond those two options. It lives in the surrender of needing to control everything. It lives in the stillness beyond thought. It lives in the heart that knows love, trust, and presence are more powerful than fear. The time has come to thank your mind for its service and relieve it of duty. You're no longer living in a jungle. You're not being hunted. You don't need to catastrophize every silence or overthink every step. You're not here to merely exist. You're here to expand, to live deeply, to feel fully, to connect courageously, and to love outrageously. So if you want to be truly free, urgently, powerfully, irrevocably free, you must step beyond the limits of thought and tune into something far more profound. That voice inside you that whispers, "There's more to life than this," it's right. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's time to thrive. And the first step? Stop thinking. Start being. Chapter 3 Summary. Don't believe everything you think. Title: Why do we even think? In this chapter, the author explores the evolutionary purpose of thinking and how it helped humans survive in dangerous environments. The mind's job is to protect us, constantly scanning for threats based on past experiences and future projections. While this mechanism once kept us alive, in today's modern world, it often keeps us stuck in fear, anxiety, and stress. The core idea is that thinking is designed for survival, not fulfillment. Conflict arises when we misunderstand the mind's role and let it control our emotional life. True peace and happiness can only come when we recognize this and start tuning into our deeper consciousness, our soul, which seeks joy, love, and freedom. Action points. 1. Recognize the purpose of thought. Understand that your thoughts are trying to protect you, not hurt you, but they are not always right or helpful. 2. Separate from the mind. Practice observing your thoughts instead of identifying with them. You are not your mind, you are the awareness behind it. 3. Release the survival mode. Realize that most of today's fears are imagined. Begin to consciously shift from fear-based reactions to trust-based responses. 4. Tune into your inner wisdom. Spend quiet time each day, through meditation or stillness, to connect with your inner self, the part of you that seeks joy, not just safety. 5. Let go of overthinking. When you catch yourself in endless loops of worry or analysis, pause, breathe. Remind yourself, I am safe. I don't need to figure everything out right now. Key quote, your mind has done an amazing job at what it was made to do, but now you may relieve it of its job. Let your mind rest. Let your soul lead. Thoughts versus thinking, the hidden battle that shapes your reality. Stop thinking and end your problems. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the only thing standing between you and the life you want, the wealth, the peace, the freedom, isn't your past, your circumstances, or even your skills. It's your thinking. Let me explain. The silent architects of reality. Thoughts are the raw electric impulses of life, neutral, spontaneous, and pure. They arise without force, without effort. A thought is a gift, a divine whisper from something greater than you. Call it the universe, God, intuition, consciousness. Thinking, however, is the act of engaging with those thoughts. It's the part where your mind grabs onto a thought and begins to analyze, judge, compare, and dissect. It's what happens when the ego takes over. And that's where the suffering begins. We don't suffer because of the thoughts we have. We suffer because we think about them. A thought experiment that might change everything. Let's try something. What's your dream income? Not your realistic income. Not what your boss said you're worth. I mean the number that would make you feel free. The amount where you could breathe deeply and live fully. Pause. Let that number arise. That was a thought. Now multiply that number by 5. Yes, 5x. What's happening inside you? If you're like most people, your heart is racing, your mind is spinning. That's impossible. No one in my family has ever done that. Who do I think I am? That right there, that storm of self-doubt, fear, guilt, and resistance, that's thinking. The first number was a pure divine impulse. It felt exciting, expansive, freeing. But the moment you started thinking about it, it got heavy. This is how most people unknowingly destroy their dreams before they ever start. The difference between creating and collapsing. Let's break this down. Attribute thinking: love, fear. Source, universal ego, weight, light, heavy. Energy, expansive, restrictive. Nature, infinite, limited. Quality, creative, destructive. Emotion, love, fear. Belief, possibility, limitation. Feeling, alive, anxious, stressed. Effort, effortless time. This is why we so often feel stuck, exhausted, or anxious. We're not broken. We're just thinking too much. The invisible trap you're living in. Every time you have a dream, a vision, a spark of genius, it begins as a thought. But then your thinking hijacks it. You analyze it, question it, doubt it. You bury it under the weight of your conditioning, trauma, and fear. And just like that, your future dies before it's even born. This is the great human tragedy. We don't fail because we're incapable. We fail because we overthink our power. The radical freedom of letting go. What if you could stop this? What if you could return to that childlike place where thoughts arose like sunlight, free, warm, and full of possibility? You'd finally start to create instead of collapse. You'd feel light, energized, alive. You'd stop self-sabotaging and start receiving. And the most powerful part? You already know how. Right now, you're one decision away from a different life. Not by thinking harder, but by thinking less. By simply learning to notice the thought and let it be. To trust the still, small voice that whispered that dream into your heart before fear had a chance to speak. Use your feelings as a compass. Here's a truth that can set you free. You can only ever feel what you are thinking. If you feel anxious, guilty, angry, or unworthy, it's not reality. It's not even the thought. It's your thinking. But when you feel peace, joy, excitement, that's how you know you're aligned with pure thought, with the source. Start trusting your emotional dashboard. Start using your feelings as your compass. One final truth you can't afford to forget. Thoughts create, thinking destroys. Your greatest dreams, your deepest desires, your vision of a bold, fulfilling, wildly free life, it all starts with a thought. Don't kill it with your thinking. The universe is trying to deliver your future, but it will never arrive if you keep sending it back. Stop overthinking. Start trusting, and watch your entire life transform. Chapter 4, Summary, Thoughts versus Thinking. This chapter draws a powerful distinction between thoughts and thinking. Thoughts are spontaneous, effortless, and arise naturally, often inspired by something beyond our control. They are neutral and creative in nature. Thinking, on the other hand, is the act of engaging with those thoughts, analyzing, judging, and interpreting them. This process is what leads to emotional suffering, fear, and self-doubt. The root of our psychological pain lies not in the thoughts themselves, but in overthinking and identifying with them. The key to peace and clarity is to stop clinging to thoughts through excessive thinking, and instead observe without attachment. Action point. The next time a thought arises, whether it's about your future, your worth, or a fear, pause and observe it without engaging. Don't analyze it, don't fight it. Simply notice it like a cloud passing through the sky. Ask yourself, am I thinking or just witnessing a thought? When negative emotions surface, use them as signals that you're lost in thought. Then, gently bring yourself back to the present moment. Freedom begins the moment you stop believing every thought you think. If we can only feel what we're thinking, don't we need to think positively to feel that way? We are ever only one thought away from peace, love, and joy, which come from a state of no thought. Let's face a hard truth. Most of us spend our lives chasing feelings. We strive to feel better, happier, more fulfilled. We grind harder, consume more, try to think our way out of pain and into peace. But what if the very act of thinking is what's getting in the way? The hidden truth. Most people miss. You've likely heard the phrase, think positive. It sounds encouraging, even practical, but it's built on a flawed premise, that positive feelings must come from positive thoughts. Here's the shocker. You don't need positive thoughts to feel peace, love, or joy. In fact, you don't need any thoughts at all. Sounds radical? Let's test it. Close your eyes for a moment. Recall a time when you felt overwhelmed with love, connection, or joy. Maybe it was holding your newborn for the first time, or standing on a mountaintop staring into a sunrise, or lying next to someone who made your heart feel at home. Now ask yourself, what were you thinking in that exact moment? If you're honest, probably nothing. Or at most, a passing wave of gratitude that showed up after the feeling hit you like a tidal wave. That's the breakthrough. The feeling came first. The thought, if any, was a byproduct. So the idea that we need to think positive in order to feel good, it crumbles. Your default setting is peace. You weren't born stressed. You didn't pop into this world self-conscious, anxious, or afraid of what tomorrow might bring. Babies don't try to be happy. They just are. Pure presence, pure joy, pure love. That's your default state. Peace, joy, ecstasy, connection, they're not outcomes of mental gymnastics. They are what you return to when the noise of your thoughts finally quiets. So what gets in the way? Thinking. Not the content. Not the quality. Just the volume. The more thoughts you have racing through your mind, the more disconnected you become from your natural state. Think of it like this. Your mind has a thought-o-meter. The faster it spins, the more stress you feel. The slower it moves, the more love you feel. Silence it, and you touch divinity. The cost of overthinking, your life. Every second you spend caught in the storm of mental chatter is a second stolen from your peace. We've been trained to believe we must analyze, process, fix, solve, hustle, think our way through everything. But the paradox is that the very act of thinking too much is what creates the internal chaos we're trying to escape. When you're anxious, it's not because of the situation, it's because of the mental speed you're operating at. The same goes for fear, frustration, burnout, and hopelessness. The intensity of these emotions is directly proportional to how much thinking you're doing in the moment. It's not what you're thinking, it's that you're thinking. And when the mind finally quiets, when the thought-o-meter slows, you fall back into your natural state. That's where the real you lives. You don't need to do more. You need to think less. Let that land. Deeply. You don't need another journal prompt. You don't need to force positive affirmations. You don't need a productivity hack to outsmart your mind. You need silence. In that silence, your spirit speaks. In that stillness, your joy breathes again. This isn't just inspiration. This is liberation. The very suffering you've been trying to overcome, the anxiety, the self-doubt, the sadness, was never you to begin with. It was always a fog created by excessive thought. Let go of the need to control your mind. Let go of the belief that you need to earn your happiness through intellectual gymnastics. Let the mind settle. Let thought pass through like clouds in the sky, and witness what emerges. Final truth. You were never broken. The grounded, joyful, radiant version of yourself has never been lost. It's simply been covered by layers of thought. You don't have to become anything. You just have to remember. You are one thought away from joy, one moment of stillness away from clarity, one breath away from peace. So stop trying so hard. The love you seek is already inside of you. All that's left is to stop thinking long enough to feel it. Let that silence be your teacher. Let presence be your power. And let this moment be the beginning of your return to yourself. Chapter 5 Summary. In this chapter, the author challenges the popular belief that we must think positively in order to feel positive emotions. Through introspection and thought experiments, it becomes clear that the most profound feelings of joy, love, and peace often arise in moments when the mind is quiet, or even completely still. The core message is simple but profound. Our natural state is one of peace, love, and joy. We don't need to manufacture those emotions with positive thoughts. They already exist within us when we are not clouded by overthinking. The chapter explains that negative emotions stem from active thinking, especially overthinking, and that the intensity of those emotions is directly linked to the quantity, not the content, of thoughts. By slowing down mental activity, we reconnect with our innate emotional well-being. Key action points. 1. Practice mindful stillness. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes daily to sit in silence. No phone, no tasks. Just be. Let your thoughts pass like clouds without engaging them. 2. Observe before you react. When feeling overwhelmed, pause and ask, how much am I thinking right now? This helps shift your awareness away from the content of your thoughts to the presence of thought itself. 3. Reflect on joyful moments. Recall times of pure happiness. Were you thinking a lot, or were you simply present? Use this awareness to understand that peace comes from stillness, not mental effort. 4. Stop forcing positive thinking. Don't pressure yourself to think happy. Instead, recognize that the absence of thought often creates space for joy to naturally arise. 5. Visualize the thought-o-meter. Imagine your mind as a speedometer. When you're in the red zone, know it's time to slow down, not by doing more, but by doing less mentally. Winnetter, final insight. You don't need to change your thoughts to feel better, just have fewer of them. Let your mind settle, and your natural joy will rise to the surface, effortlessly. How the human experience is created. The 3 principles. If the only thing people learned was not to be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world. What if the pain, anxiety, fear, and confusion you experience every day isn't coming from your job, your partner, your bank account, or even your past? What if it's coming from somewhere else entirely, something hidden in plain sight? This understanding has the power to end emotional suffering at its root, not by changing your circumstances, but by revealing how your experience of life is actually created. At the foundation of everything we feel, think, and perceive are three invisible forces: universal mind, consciousness, and thought. Discovered by Sydney Banks, these principles explain how reality is created within us, moment by moment. If even one of these is missing, we would not be able to experience anything. Not love, not fear, not joy, not even time. Let's break them down, not as abstract ideas, but as a wake-up call, because your life is being shaped by these forces right now, whether you're aware of them or not. Universal mind, the infinite intelligence behind all life. This is not religion. This is reality. Universal mind is the invisible intelligence that powers everything, from the orbits of the planets to the beat of your heart. You don't consciously tell your lungs to breathe or your cells to heal. This wisdom just knows. Whether you call it God, source, quantum field, or divine intelligence, it's there. And here's the critical part. This mind flows through you right now. But the moment you get caught in the illusion of fear, anxiety, or separation, you block this flow. You feel disconnected, incomplete, unworthy. But the truth is, you were never disconnected. You were just caught in a thought. If you've ever had a moment of pure stillness, creativity, or peace come out of nowhere, that's universal mind shining through the noise of your thinking. But the two, consciousness, the gift of awareness. Imagine having thoughts, but no awareness of them. That would be like watching a movie with your eyes closed. Consciousness is the principle that allows you to experience what you think. It brings your thoughts to life. It's the light in the projector, illuminating whatever story the film, your thinking, contains. Without it, the most beautiful ideas or the darkest worries would go unnoticed. Consciousness is the gift that allows you to realize, I exist, I am aware, I can choose. And choice is where your power lies. 3. Thought, the creative power within. Thought is the raw material of your reality. It's not just what you think about, it's what you think with. You're not a victim of your thoughts, but you can become one when you believe them all. Most people live in a prison created by thoughts they never questioned. Every fear you've ever felt started with a thought. Every breakthrough also began with one. Like a DVD inserted into a player, thought provides the content. Consciousness plays the movie. Universal mind powers the system. Here's the urgent truth. You're watching your own mental movie and mistaking it for reality. But once you understand the projector, you no longer fear the film. Why this matters right now. We live in an age of overstimulation, constant comparison, and chronic stress. Millions are medicating symptoms of a deeper disconnection, one that can't be solved with more hustle, more therapy, or more affirmations. What we need is understanding. Understanding how your human experience is created, from the inside out, liberates you from being a victim of life. You stop reacting to everything and start creating with life. Because the truth is, your thoughts are not reality. Your consciousness gives you choice, and the universal mind has always been guiding you home. You're just one insight away from transforming how you live forever. Now is the time to wake up to who you really are. Not your fears, not your doubts, not your trauma, but the awareness beneath it all. Because once you see the illusion, you never fall for it again. Chapter 6 Summary. There's a powerful message. You are not your thoughts. Most people unconsciously identify with their thoughts, believing that what they think defines who they are. But the truth is, thoughts are just mental events. They come and go like clouds in the sky. You are the awareness behind them, not the thoughts themselves. The chapter emphasizes that when you realize this distinction, you stop being controlled by negative thinking, overanalyzing, self-doubt, and fear. You become free to observe your thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass instead of clinging to them or trying to fight them. This insight creates emotional freedom and inner peace. Key insight. Your thoughts are not facts. They are temporary, and you don't have to believe or act on them. Freedom begins the moment you stop identifying with your mind. Action point. Practice mindful awareness today. When a thought arises, especially a stressful or negative one, pause and ask, Is this thought true, or is it just passing through? Then choose not to engage. Let it float by like a leaf on a stream. You'll begin to feel lighter, calmer, and more in control, not of your thoughts, but of your response to them. Remember, you are not the storm. You are the sky. If thinking is the root cause of our suffering, how do we stop thinking? A sophisticated, inspirational message for a modern audience seeking clarity, peace, and purpose in a chaotic world. A crowded mind leaves no space for a peaceful heart. The hidden war inside your head. In a world constantly pulling at your attention, notifications buzzing, deadlines looming, social media scrolling, it's no surprise that your mind feels like a battlefield. The real danger isn't what's happening outside, it's what's happening inside. Because if we're honest, most of us are drowning in our own thinking. And that thinking is creating a private hell. You might believe your stress is from your job, your partner, your past, or your uncertain future. But what if I told you it isn't the events of your life that hurt you? It's your thinking about those events. Your thoughts, unchecked and unobserved, can become your tormentor. They replay old wounds, imagine worst-case scenarios, and whisper lies about who you are and what you're capable of. And the worst part, you start to believe them. But what if there was another way? Heaven and Hell, a Zen story that will shake you. A fierce, battle-hardened samurai once stormed into a temple, demanding from a Zen master, "Tell me the nature of heaven and hell." The master looked him in the eyes and scoffed, "Why would I waste my time on a filthy, brutish creature like you?" Insulted and furious, the samurai reached for his sword, ready to kill the old man on the spot. The master calmly said, "That's hell." The samurai froze. In that moment, realization hit. His own thinking, his ego, his anger, his pride, had created his hell. Tears welled in his eyes. He bowed deeply in gratitude. The master smiled. And that is heaven. The truth about thinking: you don't stop it, you see through it. Let's be clear. You can't stop thinking entirely. Your brain wasn't designed that way. But you can stop believing every thought that passes through your mind. You can reduce the time spent in obsessive thought. You can come home to the calm beneath the chaos. Here's the key. Thoughts are just clouds. You are the sky. Trying to stop thoughts is like trying to grab fog, but becoming aware of thinking, that's where the magic begins. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates peace, and peace creates freedom. The bowl of murky water. Imagine I hand you a bowl of cloudy, dirty water and ask, how do you make this water clear? Most people try to stir it, filter it, fix it. But the wisest answer? You let it sit. The dirt settles, the water clears, and all you had to do was nothing. Your mind works the same way. Trying to fix your thoughts just stirs them more. But if you sit, breathe, observe, and simply be, clarity returns on its own. The trap of overthinking, quicksand of the mind. Thinking is like quicksand. The more you fight it, trying to think your way out, the deeper you sink. But what if the way out is to stop struggling? In stillness, your natural buoyancy, your inner wisdom rises. It's always been there. Beneath the storm of overthinking is a vast ocean of calm, waiting to carry you back to peace. The human oscillation, from storm to sunlight. You won't always stay in peace. That's okay. You're not a robot. You're a human being, a divine consciousness having a human experience. You'll move between storms of thought and skies of clarity, between fear and freedom, between thinking and presence. But now you have a compass. And here's the real beauty. Peace is not something you find. It's something you return to. Like the sun behind the clouds, it's never gone, just temporarily hidden. Don't wait for peace. Choose it now. Too many people are dying with their music still in them. Why? Because they waited for the perfect time. They waited for thoughts to stop. They waited to feel ready. But the time is now. Your thoughts are not you. Your anxiety is not truth. Your stress is not permanent. There's a deeper part of you that's always been at peace. That voice inside that whispers, "I'm okay. I've always been okay." That's your home. That's your truth. Final thought. The sun is still there. Just because the sky is dark doesn't mean the sun is gone. And just because your mind feels overwhelmed doesn't mean your peace has vanished. It's there, waiting, underneath. always. And you're only one moment of awareness away from returning to it. Chapter 7 Summary explores how we misunderstand the nature of our emotions. Most people believe that emotions come from external events like losing a job, a breakup, or financial struggle, but in reality, all emotions are the result of our thoughts in the moment. It's never the event, but our thinking about the event that causes us to suffer. This chapter reveals a profound truth. We can only ever feel what we are thinking. If you're feeling fear, stress, anxiety, or joy, those emotions are directly linked to what thoughts are passing through your mind right now. Nothing more, nothing less. And once you realize this, it gives you back your power. Because if your feelings are generated by thought, and not the world, then you're not a victim anymore. You're free. Action point. Start checking in with your feelings throughout the day. Whenever you feel stressed, overwhelmed, or emotionally low, ask yourself, what am I thinking right now that's causing this feeling? Don't try to fix the thought. Just notice it. Awareness is enough. And with that awareness, the thought will often dissolve on its own, just like clouds drifting across a clear sky. Remember, your feelings are a reflection of thought, not reality. The more you understand this, the more peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. How can we possibly thrive in the world without thinking? Anxiety is thought without control. Flow is control without thought. James Clear. Imagine this. You're fully immersed in something you love. Writing, painting, coding, climbing, surfing, singing. Hours pass like minutes. Your mind is clear. Your body moves with precision. You're not thinking. You're simply doing. In that moment, you are at your best. Now pause. Ask yourself, what thoughts were going through your head during that moment of pure excellence? Take 15 seconds. Really think. Most people come back with the same realization. None. Or if there were thoughts, they weren't deliberate. They flowed. Effortlessly, instinctively. You weren't thinking, you were being. That right there is the key. Your peak state, the moments when you're truly alive, inspired, creative, impactful, happens in the absence of conscious analytical thought. You don't think your way into brilliance. You flow into it. Let's go deeper. Have you ever been so deeply in love with your work or with life itself that time dissolved? When you forgot about your problems, your image, your goals, your fears? That was flow. That was non-thinking. If you're still unsure, let me show you what it looks like in the real world. Take elite athletes, the kind who walk into Olympic arenas with the pressure of the world on their shoulders. Do you really think they're in their heads analyzing every move in real time? Not a chance. They're in the zone, a place where the mind is silent and the body simply knows. It's not magic. It's mastery. It's the reward of hours of practice, yes. But more importantly, it's the moment where thinking steps aside and performance takes over. In Japanese martial philosophy, they have a word for this, mushin. Mushin is a mind free of anger, fear, ego, or random thought. In combat, or in life, it allows action without hesitation, without doubt. The practitioner doesn't think about the next move. They just respond, instinctively, completely, powerfully. Let that sink in. Mushin is not some mystical fairy tale. It's a state you've already been in. You just didn't have a name for it. It's not about turning off your brain forever. It's about knowing when to let go and let your deeper intelligence lead. Here's the hard truth. Most of your stress, self-doubt, anxiety, and hesitation, it's not coming from the world. It's coming from your thinking about the world. Overthinking is the breeding ground of fear. But when you're not thinking, you're free. You act, you create, you lead, you become. So how can we possibly thrive without thinking? The real question is, how can we possibly thrive with it? Let go, just enough to fall into flow. Stop trying to control every thought. Trust your training, your instincts, your experience, and then let your true self take over. Try it. Not forever. Just for one moment. Step into the silence between your thoughts and discover the infinite power that lives there. Not a belief, not a philosophy, an experience, your own. Because the moment you stop thinking, you'll finally start living. This isn't about doing less, it's about becoming unstoppable. And the clock is ticking. Every second spent in overthinking is a second stolen from your potential. Get out of your head and into your life. Chapter 8 Summary. How can we possibly thrive in the world without thinking? In this chapter, the author dismantles the belief that we need constant thinking to thrive. In fact, the highest moments of performance, joy, and creativity occur when we're not thinking, when we are in a state of flow. During such moments, like when an athlete is in the zone, or when we're deeply engaged in a passion, thinking vanishes and pure doing takes over. The chapter introduces the concept of mushin, a Japanese term describing a mind free of ego, fear, and conscious thought, allowing instinctive and effortless action. The core idea: our best work and most fulfilling experiences happen not when we think more, but when we think less. Thinking often interrupts performance, creating anxiety, hesitation, and fear. The solution is not to eliminate thought entirely, but to recognize when to let go and allow our deeper intelligence to lead. Action point: practice stepping into flow by intentionally doing something you love without overthinking it. Let go of judgment. Let go of results. Just do the thing, whether it's writing, running, dancing, or solving problems. Focus on presence, not perfection. Start small. Set a timer for 15 to 30 minutes. Do an activity you enjoy with full attention. Notice when thoughts arise, and gently return to the task. Experience what it feels like to act without thinking. The more you practice this, the more you train yourself to live in the powerful space beyond thought, where your true potential lives. If we stop thinking, what happens to our goals, dreams, and ambitions? There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. We live in a culture that worships thinking. We're taught to analyze, strategize, hustle, grind, think harder. So when someone says, "Thinking is the root of your suffering," it can feel like a slap in the face of everything we've ever believed. But what if, just what if, it's true? What if the anxiety, the pressure, the burnout, the constant sense of not enough isn't coming from life itself, but from the relentless overthinking that distorts it? When I first realized that thinking was the source of my suffering, I felt free, liberated. For the first time in my life, peace didn't seem like a myth. It felt real. But that peace was quickly followed by a jolt of fear. If I stop thinking, what happens to my dreams, my drive, my ambitions? Won't I lose my edge? Won't I stop caring? Let's be honest. This is what scares most of us. We're afraid that if we let go of control, we'll lose everything. That we'll drift aimlessly, surrendering our power to the winds of chance. But the truth is exactly the opposite. When you let go of thinking, you don't lose your power. You finally access it. Let me be crystal clear. Stopping thinking doesn't mean stopping thought. It means silencing the mental noise, the obsessive, fear-fueled, self-critical inner monologue that drowns out your deepest truth. Because here's what most people don't know. There are two types of goals. Goals born from desperation and goals born from inspiration. And they feel radically different. Desperation goals, the silent killers. Goals born from desperation come with a knot in your stomach and a timer in your head. You have to succeed. You must prove yourself. You need to make money, leave your job, buy the house, get the likes, hit the $1 million mark. You chase them because you're trying to escape something. A job you hate, a life that feels small, an inner critic that whispers, "You're not enough." But no matter how high you climb, it never feels like enough. Sound familiar? This cycle of setting goals to escape pain is like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. You're chasing freedom, but running faster into the cage. I know this story well, because it was mine. Inspiration goals. The hidden key to fulfillment. Then there are the other goals, the ones that don't come from fear, but from fire. They arrive not through thinking, but in moments of stillness. You aren't forcing them, they appear. Gentle, clear, undeniable. You don't chase these dreams. They pull you. They don't exhaust you. They energize you. They don't pressure you. They inspire you. These are the goals that arise when you stop trying to be someone and start listening to who you already are. This is what divine inspiration feels like life is moving through you, rather than you fighting against it. It's the writer who can't sleep until she finishes her novel, the engineer who sketches a world-changing idea in the shower, the mother who pours her love into building something that matters, not for validation, but because it's hers to create. So what happens when we stop thinking? We don't become passive. We don't become lazy, we become available. Available to the whispers of divine intelligence. Available to guidance that doesn't come from spreadsheets and strategy, but from truth. Available to create not from fear of failure, but from the joy of expression. And when you create from that place, you don't just build things, you birth legacies. How to know the difference? Here's a simple check-in. Desperation goals feel heavy, urgent, and fear-driven, like you must succeed to feel worthy. Draining and confining, like they're a means to an end. Inspiration goals feel expansive, joyful, and energizing, like you want to create, not have to. Flowing and abundant, like the journey is the reward. The one question that changes everything. If you want to cut through the noise of your mind and hear your true inspiration, ask yourself this. If I had all the money, all the time, zero fear, and no need for recognition, what would I create just for the joy of it? Whatever rises from that space, that's the real dream. That's the divine knocking. Don't ignore it. The bottom line. You don't need to give up your goals. You need to reconnect to the source of them. Let go of chasing dreams that were never truly yours. Let go of the fear that your power lies in pressure. The real you, the limitless, creative, divine force within you doesn't think its way forward. It feels its way. It listens. It moves. It creates. And once you tap into that space, your life will no longer be driven by desperation, but lit by inspiration. The future isn't something to fear. It's something to flow into. And it begins the moment you stop thinking and start trusting. Chapter 9 Summary. What do we do about our goals, dreams, and ambitions? In this chapter, the author addresses a common fear. If thinking causes suffering, does that mean we must give up on our goals and dreams? The answer is a powerful no. The chapter explores the difference between goals born from desperation, driven by fear, lack, pressure, and the need to escape, and goals born from inspiration, driven by joy, wholeness, and divine creative flow. When we stop overthinking, we don't lose ambition. We reconnect with inspired action, the kind that energizes rather than depletes us. True fulfillment comes from creating not to fix our lives, but to express who we truly are. Inspired goals are not a means to an end. They are expressions of our inner abundance. Key action point. Ask yourself the clarity question. If I had infinite money, no fear, no need for recognition, and already traveled the world, what would I do or create just for the joy of it? Then, notice what naturally arises without overthinking it. Pursue only what feels light, expansive, and inspired. Let go of means goals that feel heavy, pressured, or fear-based. Remember, you're not here to prove your worth, you're here to express your truth. Unconditional love and creation, the power that transcends reason. The greatest power that mankind could ever achieve is the power of unconditional love. This is when people love with no limitations, conditions, or boundaries. Tony Green, imagine a love so powerful it defies logic. A love so expansive, so pure, it cannot be explained, only felt. Most of us will spend a lifetime chasing that kind of love and never touch it. But what if the love we're chasing isn't something to be found in another person, a paycheck, or a perfect moment? What if it's already within us, waiting to be remembered? The moment that changed everything. For most of my life, I was addicted to understanding. I needed reasons, logic, evidence. Without them, I felt lost, unmoored. Naturally, when I fell in love with McKenna, I applied the same mental lens. One night, a year into dating, I asked her why she loved me. She paused, smiled, and said something that both confused and humbled me. I don't know why. I just do. I was stunned. I could give her 50 reasons why I loved her, her laugh, her intelligence, her compassion, but she couldn't name a single one for me. For years, that bothered me. Quietly, privately. Until one day, it clicked. If my love was based on reasons, what would happen if those reasons changed? If she stopped laughing, if her personality evolved, if time or circumstance reshaped her, would my love fade? And then the realization hit me like a tidal wave. True love has no reasons. If it does, it has conditions. And conditional love is not love, it's a transaction dressed up as devotion. In that moment, I finally understood what McKenna had always known. Her love for me wasn't about me. It was from her. A wellspring of overflowing love that expected nothing in return. She wasn't loving to get, she was loving to give. That is unconditional love. And when I felt that love not just from her, but through her, I realized unconditional love doesn't come from the mind, it flows from the soul, and it is the purest form of connection to the divine. Unconditional creation, the art of making from wholeness. This same principle applies to our creations. Whether you're writing a book, building a business, or chasing a dream, the energy behind your creation defines its power. Most of us create with conditions. I want to build this so I can get rich. I'll post this video so I can go viral. I'll do this job to gain approval, money, respect. But here's the harsh truth. Conditional creation is the death of joy. It's why you feel burnt out, frustrated, and hollow even when you succeed. Because the goal was never the goal. You didn't want the money, you wanted freedom. You didn't want the promotion, you wanted significance. You didn't want the audience, you wanted to feel worthy. And here's the paradox that most never realize. You can't get those feelings from achieving the goal. You can only get them by generating them within yourself. The external world may trigger those feelings, but only you can create them. And that leads us to the most powerful form of expression humans are capable of. Unconditional creation. To create without expectation, without agenda, without needing anything in return. To create simply because something within you must be born. That is unconditional creation. It is the energy of the universe, God, the source, flowing through you unfiltered. You are not chasing. You are not striving. You are not grinding. You are being. And ironically, when you create from that place, you become magnetic. Abundance follows. Joy compounds. Time disappears. You enter flow, the state where life no longer happens to you, but through you. Unconditional creation is the gateway to peace without reason, fulfillment without achievement, love without transaction, purpose without pressure. But it can only begin when the mind gets quiet, when thought is no longer the dictator of your decisions. This is the urgency of our time. We are drowning in noise, in expectations, in shoulds and have-tos and checklists. We are manufacturing success and starving spiritually. If you want to break free from this endless loop, then this is your invitation. Love without reason. Create without condition. Live without apology. Not tomorrow, not someday when life calms down. Now. Because this moment, this breath is the only thing that's real. And in the stillness, you'll find the truth you've been searching for all along. You were never broken. You were never behind. You were never missing anything. You simply forgot the truth. You are love. You are creation. You are enough. And once you live from that place, everything changes. Chapter 10 Summary: Unconditional Love and Creation. This chapter dives deep into the transformative power of unconditional love, love that exists without reason, expectation, or condition. The author shares a personal story of discovering that true love isn't based on what someone does or who they are, it simply is. This realization opens the door to another profound truth: unconditional creation. Most of us create for outcomes, money, validation, success, placing conditions on our work. But real fulfillment comes when we create for the sake of creation itself, not for what it brings us. When we love and create unconditionally, we align with the infinite source within us. This state isn't reached through thought, but through presence, when we silence the mind and allow life to flow through us. Action point: practice unconditional love today. Let go of reasons, expectations, or outcomes. Love someone, your partner, family, or even yourself, without needing a why. Then create something, anything, without a goal. Write a poem, make a meal, sing, or build, purely for the joy of it. Notice how it feels to create without pressure. That's where your true power lives. What do you do next after experiencing peace, joy, love, and fulfillment in the present? Don't think. It complicates things. Just feel, and if it feels like home, then follow its path. R.M. Drake. You've done something most people never even realize is possible. You've tasted peace. Not the fleeting kind brought on by distractions or achievements, but the deep, unwavering peace that comes when the mind becomes still and your inner world quiets. And yet, Now what? If you're feeling a strange sense of confusion, emptiness, or even fear after reaching this place of serenity, you are not alone. In fact, you're exactly where you need to be. The truth most people miss after inner awakening. What you're experiencing is the echo of your old self, the ego claw its way back into power. For years, maybe decades, you've built an identity around constant thinking, worrying, striving. That identity doesn't disappear without resistance. Once you've stopped fueling it with overthinking, it feels like you've lost your drive or edge. But here's the empowering truth. That wasn't your drive. That was fear disguised as ambition. That was your ego dressed up as discipline. That was anxiety masquerading as control. You're not broken. You're breaking free. Fear is the ego's final weapon. The doubt you're feeling right now is your ego's last defense. It whispers, if I stop thinking, won't I lose my goals? If I'm at peace, won't I get lazy? If I let go, won't I fall behind? But hear this clearly. You are not falling behind. You are rising above. What you're experiencing is the death of an old operating system. And just like any system shutdown, there's silence, uncertainty, and then clarity. The energy shift from thinking to creating. Your mind, once consumed by relentless thought, is now free. That energy has returned to you. But here's the danger. If you don't consciously channel this energy, it will return to the only home it's ever known, overthinking. That's why this moment is urgent. This is your pivot point. The same way a river, once unblocked, must find a new path, you must direct this surge of freed-up energy into something meaningful. Build from inspiration, not desperation. The next phase of your journey is creation, but not from lack, fear, or insecurity. Set goals not because you're running from something, but because you're pulled by something greater, something true. Ask yourself, what would I create if I was no longer afraid? What would I pursue if I was already whole? What would I do if I didn't need to prove anything? When your goals come from inspiration, they don't drain your energy. They expand it. The morning activation ritual. Start with power. To keep this energy moving in the right direction, create what I call your activation ritual, a sacred morning routine designed to awaken flow, not thought. Why does this matter? Because momentum is destiny. Start your day in stillness. Move your body. Journal your intentions. Visualize your inspired future, not as a fantasy, but as your natural next step. This ritual isn't about control, it's about alignment. It gets your energy flowing toward peace, power, and purpose before the ego even wakes up. Final word, this is the beginning, not the end. You didn't come this far just to stop. You came this far to start living, creating, and loving from a place of truth, not fear. The peace you've found isn't the final destination, it's the launch pad. Now, you get to build a life not to escape yourself, but to express yourself. You are no longer chasing fulfillment. You are creating from fulfillment. That's real power, that's real freedom, that's real life. So ask yourself, now that you have peace, what masterpiece will you create with it? Chapter 11 Summary. What do you do next after experiencing peace, joy, love, and fulfillment in the present? This chapter explores the often overlooked after effect of experiencing inner peace, confusion, doubt, and the fear of losing one's edge. After reaching a state of presence and fulfillment through non-thinking, many feel uncertain about what to do next. This is natural and is rooted in the ego's resistance to losing control. The ego tries to reclaim power by reintroducing worry and doubt. However, the key is not to eliminate thoughts completely, but to shorten the time it takes to recognize when thinking is pulling you away from peace. The chapter emphasizes that the energy once consumed by thinking can now be redirected into inspired action. Instead of falling back into old mental habits, we can channel this energy toward purposeful goals rooted in joy, not fear. Establishing routines like an activation ritual in the morning can help maintain this momentum and deepen the experience of peace and inspired living. Action point. Recognize the ego's return. When doubt or fear resurfaces, don't resist it. Just notice it and remind yourself that it's just thought, not truth. Redirect energy. Channel the mental energy you've reclaimed from overthinking into goals that inspire you, not those born out of desperation. Create an activation ritual. Start each day with a peaceful, grounding routine, meditation, journaling, movement to maintain your non-thinking flow. Stay aware. You don't need to stop thoughts, you just need to remember they aren't you, and gently return to presence. This stage isn't a setback. It's the beginning of living life from a place of wholeness, not striving. Nothing is either good or bad, it's just your thinking. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Imagine sitting in front of a piano with its 88 keys, black and white, high and low, sharp and soft. Now ask yourself, is any one key wrong? Of course not. Each key is simply a sound, a vibration, a note, until someone decides which melody is being played. And yet, this is exactly how we live our lives, judging certain moments as wrong, certain people as bad, certain decisions as mistakes. But just like with the piano, there are no wrong keys, only interpretations based on the tune we think life should be playing. The trap of duality. Here's the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. When we divide life into good and bad, we create suffering. We turn ordinary neutral events into emotional landmines. We take a difference of opinion and turn it into a war. We turn setbacks into shame, all because we believed a thought. Let this sink in. Your suffering doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from your thinking about those circumstances. We think, I shouldn't have lost that job. They shouldn't have said that. This shouldn't be happening. But what if the only reason you feel pain is because you believe those thoughts to be true? What if there are no mistakes? Think about it. What if there was no such thing as a wrong decision? What if your choices were simply keys on the piano of your life? What if even the most painful experiences are just dissonant notes that lead to a deeper harmony you haven't yet heard? The moment we stop labeling things as good or bad, we open ourselves up to something far more powerful: truth. Truth doesn't come dressed in judgment. It doesn't create separation. It doesn't pit us against each other. It simply is. The urgency of now. Here's the urgency. Every day you continue to live under the illusion of good versus bad is another day of unnecessary suffering. It's another day you miss out on the peace, joy, and love that's already available to you. Not in some distant future, not once your circumstances change, but right now. The war is not out there. It's in here, between your ears. And the longer you wait to see that, the longer you'll be a prisoner to your own mind. Your way out. When you feel overwhelmed by anger, guilt, shame, or fear, pause. Don't try to fix the external world. Instead, look inward. Ask yourself, what thought am I believing right now that's making me feel this way? Is this truly a universal truth, or just a story I'm telling myself? You'll quickly discover your thoughts are not facts. They are suggestions, and most of them are not serving you. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world's shoulds and shouldn'ts. You were meant to play your melody, fearlessly, fully, freely. So stop trying to figure out if your life is right or wrong. Just listen. Feel the music, and trust that every note has its place. That is where peace begins. That is where you begin. Chapter 12 Summary: The Illusion of Good and Bad. This chapter explores the idea that nothing in life is inherently good or bad. Our thinking is what labels things that way. Drawing from Shakespeare's quote, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so," the chapter dismantles the illusion of duality. Just like all keys on a piano are neutral until played in a certain context, life events are also neutral until we judge them. Labeling experiences as right or wrong creates internal suffering and separation. When we stop chasing what we think should happen and open up to what is, we gain access to peace, love, and clarity. True understanding lies beyond judgment. It exists in universal truth, which can only be found by going inward. Action point. Next time you feel triggered, pause and ask, what if this isn't good or bad? What if it just is? Let go of judgment. Drop the need to categorize everything. Look for universal truth. If it's not true for everyone, it's just a thought. Return to your inner awareness. Your peace lives beyond your opinions. By releasing duality, you return to the calm, clear center within yourself, and that's where true wisdom and joy reside. How do you know what to do without thinking? The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Imagine this. You're standing at a crossroads in life. There's no map, no signs, no one to ask for directions, just silence. But in that silence, there's a whisper, a pull, a feeling that moves through your chest and gut, not your head. That's not confusion. That's not fear. That is your intuition. And it's been trying to guide you all along. In a world that idolizes logic, data, and endless pros and cons lists, we've become deaf to the one voice that never lies. Our own inner wisdom. Let's get real. We already know what to do. We're just scared to trust it. The illusion of right versus wrong. You were taught to think your way through life, to make the right decision, to seek approval. But here's the truth. There is no universally right or wrong. Just like no key on a piano is wrong, some simply sound better in certain melodies. Life works the same way. Some choices feel more harmonious than others, for you, in your moment. When we stop obsessing over making the right move, the pressure lifts. And what remains? Clarity. Why thinking creates chaos. Thinking isn't evil, but overthinking is a trap. You gather advice, you analyze the risk, you weigh every angle, you ask your mom, your mentor, maybe even your dog. And what do you get? Anxiety, frustration, paralysis. Because deep down, you already knew. That gut instinct, that tug in your chest, that's the real you trying to break through the noise. But the more you think, the more distant your intuition becomes. The truth you've forgotten. You don't need the world's permission to move forward. You don't need society to nod in agreement. You don't even need to know how it will all unfold. What you need is to listen. Your inner GPS may not give you the full map, but it will always give you the next step. You don't need to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step and watch the next one appear. The courage to trust yourself. Let's face it, most people don't fail because they didn't know what to do. They fail because they knew and didn't act. Think about it. Want to lose weight? You already know what to do. Want to start a business? You already know the first step. Want to leave a toxic relationship? You already know what's right. But fear tells you you're not good enough. Fear says, what if you fail? Fear says, let's wait until we're really sure. But here's the cold truth. If you wait until you're 100% certain, you'll be waiting forever. What you need to remember right now. 1. You already know. You're not lost. You're just ignoring the compass inside you. 2. If you feel blocked, stop thinking. The more you think, the more fog you create. 3. Silence the noise. Go for a walk. Meditate. Breathe. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? 4. Have the courage to act on the whisper, even if your knees are shaking, even if no one else agrees. 5. Expect resistance. Society won't validate you until your truth becomes the trend. But by then, you'll already be miles ahead. Urgent truth. Time is slipping. Every second you doubt yourself, someone else is building the life you dream of by listening to their intuition. You're not too late. You're just one decision away. One step. One deep breath. One brave moment of trust. You have everything you need right now to take action. You are not broken. You are not confused. You are just scared. But fear has never been your guide. Let faith take the wheel. Final words. You don't need to figure it out. You need to remember what you already know. So stop searching outside. Close your eyes. Feel the truth rise within you like a quiet flame. Now, take the step. Your future is waiting. And it's not waiting for your plan. It's waiting for your faith. Trust yourself. You always knew. Chapter 13 Summary. How do you know what to do without thinking? This chapter dives into the concept of intuition over intellect. It emphasizes that while we're conditioned to seek answers through logic, analysis, and external validation, the deepest truth always lives within us. We often already know what to do, but fear, doubt, and societal pressure cloud our inner wisdom. The more we try to think our way into clarity, the more we move away from it. The author likens intuition to an internal GPS. It won't always show you the full journey, but it always knows the next step. True peace and confidence come when you stop outsourcing your decisions and start trusting your gut. The most powerful realization? You don't need to figure it out. You already know. The key is having the courage to act on what your soul already feels. Action point. Pause the noise. Take a few minutes each day to silence your thoughts and listen inward. Identify a current decision you're overthinking. Ask yourself, what does my intuition say? Act on your inner knowing, even if it's uncomfortable or unpopular. Stop seeking external validation. Trust that your inner guidance will always show you the next right step. Remember, if you don't know yet, release the fear and trust the answer will come in clarity, not in thinking. Truth lives in stillness. Your job isn't to think more, it's to listen better. How to follow your intuition. For those who are ready to stop surviving and start thriving. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. You already know the way. Now it's time to trust it. Have you ever had a moment when your gut told you exactly what to do, but your mind talked you out of it? You rationalized, you hesitated, you waited, and then the opportunity was gone. That quiet whisper inside? That wasn't random. It was your intuition, your direct line to something far greater than logic. It was infinite intelligence nudging you toward the life you're meant to live. The tragedy is this: most people never listen. They choose the comfort of certainty over the brilliance of possibility. They let fear hold the wheel and drive their lives into predictable mediocrity. But you're here because you're different. You feel it, you know it. There's something within you urging you forward, whispering, there's more. This is your call to follow it. Now, the silent power that transcends thinking. We've been taught that success requires thinking harder, grinding more, and always having a plan. But that model is breaking. It's slow, exhausting, and deeply limited. Intuition doesn't operate like that. Intuition is flow. It's alignment. It's that state of non-thinking where you feel completely connected with yourself, with life, with God, with the universe. You don't force decisions. You know them. You don't chase. You attract. And what once felt impossible begins to unfold with surprising ease. Flow is not just for artists and athletes. It's a birthright. Yours. You've experienced it before. That time a job opportunity landed right after you let go of your fear. That phone call you felt compelled to make that changed everything. That moment you acted without hesitation, and everything clicked. These are not coincidences. They are evidence that you are always being guided, if you dare to listen. Why you don't trust your intuition. Let's be honest. Trusting your intuition is terrifying, because it demands that you leap without knowing where you'll land. It lives in the realm of the unknown. And humans are conditioned to fear the unknown. But ask yourself this: has overthinking ever led you to peace? Has trying to control every outcome ever made you feel truly safe? Has doubting yourself ever created a miracle? Of course not. The fear you feel is not a sign to stop. It's proof that you're standing at the edge of transformation. This is not a time to play it safe. It's a time to leap. And the only way to leap is by listening to the voice that whispers, "This is the way." Intuition is always speaking. Are you listening? It comes in the form of divine thought, a sudden insight, an urge, a knowing. It doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, it simply is. It says, send the message, apply for that job, walk away from this relationship, start the thing you've been putting off for years. You'll feel resistance. Your mind will scream, "This doesn't make sense." That's your sign it's real. Intuition rarely feels logical because it's not limited by logic. It sees what your conscious mind cannot. What happens when you follow it? When you begin to live from intuition, something extraordinary happens. Life feels lighter. Things begin to align, quickly. People show up. Opportunities fall into your lap. Time bends. Struggle turns to synchronicity. Stress gives way to peace. It's as if the universe had been waiting all along for you to finally get out of your own way. But here's the hard truth. You will never access this power if you insist on controlling everything. You will never hear your intuition if your mind is constantly yelling over it. If you're not experiencing miracles, abundance, and joy, it's not because you're not worthy. It's because you're still thinking too much. The answer is not more thinking. It's less. It's not more effort. It's more surrender. Let go. Tune in. Step forward. The most abundant, joyful, powerful people on the planet don't force their way forward. They flow forward. They trust, they surrender, they walk into the unknown with a quiet, unshakable certainty that they are guided. And guess what? So are you, but it starts now. Not someday. Not when things are safe. Not when it makes sense. Now. Close your eyes, take a breath. Get quiet. What is your intuition saying to you? That's your next step. Take it, even if it makes no sense. Even if it terrifies you. Especially if it terrifies you, because fear is not the enemy. It's a sign that the old version of you is dying and something miraculous is about to be born. Final word. You don't need to figure it all out. You never did. You just need to know what you want, and then listen deeply. Follow the pull, trust the whisper, honor the nudge. Your intuition will never lead you astray. This is your invitation. To stop thinking about your life and start living it. To stop waiting and start becoming. Because the life you were meant to live is already waiting for you. All you have to do is follow your intuition. Chapter 14 Summary. Follow your intuition. This chapter explores the powerful truth that our intuition, not our analytical mind, is the direct pathway to peace, abundance, and fulfillment. It introduces the idea of non-thinking, or flow, as a state of connection with the universe, God, or infinite intelligence. The more we think, the more we sever this divine connection and fall into fear, stress, and suffering. But when we operate from intuition, life unfolds effortlessly. Opportunities arise, synchronicities occur, and miracles become normal. The chapter urges us to stop trying to control the how and instead focus on the what we desire. Intuition gives us real-time, inspired guidance, but because it lives in the realm of the unknown, it often feels scary. That fear, however, is only a product of thinking, not truth. Action points. Practice non-thinking daily. Meditate, breathe deeply, and focus on the present moment. Let go of overthinking and drop into flow. 2. Listen to your intuition. When you feel a gentle inner nudge, even if it doesn't make logical sense, follow it. Trust the first instinct. 3. Let go of controlling the how. You don't need to figure everything out. Focus on what you want. Let the universe handle the rest. 4. Step into the unknown with faith. Miracles only happen when you leave your comfort zone. The unknown is where infinite possibilities live. 5. Notice divine timing. Pay attention to synchronicities and effortless outcomes. These are signs you're aligned with your intuition. 6. Remember, fear comes from thinking. Fear is not real. It's just the mind's way of clinging to control. Recognize it and let it pass. You have to do what you haven't done in order to get what you don't have. Let go. Trust yourself. The guidance you're seeking is already within you. Creating space for miracles. Today I make space for miracles. I recognize that it's not how big a miracle is that's important, but how much room I create for it. Empty your cup, empty your mind, make room for the miraculous. Imagine standing at the edge of your greatest breakthrough, only to find your hands too full to receive it. That's what many of us do, cling to old beliefs, recycled thoughts, and mental clutter, blocking the very miracles we're desperately seeking. Let me take you back to a quiet room in ancient Japan. A scholar, brimming with knowledge, approached a Zen master to learn the secrets of enlightenment. But as the master poured tea into the scholar's cup, he didn't stop when it was full. The tea spilled over, onto the table, the floor, the man's clothes. "Stop! The cup is full," the scholar exclaimed. The master replied, "Exactly. You are like this cup, so full of your own opinions that nothing more can enter. Come back to me with an empty cup." This isn't just a charming parable. It's a powerful wake-up call. Because the truth is, your mind, like that cup, must be empty to receive. And here's the kicker. Miracles don't happen in noise. They happen in space, in silence, in stillness, in surrender. The great nothingness, where all creation begins. Space, the ultimate nothingness, is where the entire universe was born. Quantum physics proves it. Everything, including you, came from nothing. Every idea, every invention, every miracle. But today's world doesn't celebrate space. It worships hustle, noise, effort. It glorifies the grind until we are burnt out, anxious, and lost in our own overthinking. No wonder we feel stuck. We're trying to solve problems using the very thinking that created them. We can't solve problems by using the same level of consciousness we were at when we created them. Albert Einstein. You don't need more information. You don't need more effort. You need more space. Real power lies in stillness. Thomas Edison didn't brute force his way into invention. He slept his way into genius. Literally. Holding steel balls in his hands, he'd doze off until they dropped and jolted him awake, just in time for divine insight to arrive. Einstein played the violin when his mind got stuck. He created space, and the solution would appear effortlessly. They didn't chase brilliance, they made space for it to arrive. And guess what? So can you. You're one thought away. That breakthrough you've been praying for, that healing, clarity, abundance, love, it's not far. It's one thought away. And you don't have to go searching for it. You simply need to create space for it. Let's be clear, this isn't passive. It's powerful. Surrendering your obsessive thinking doesn't mean giving up. It means handing over the reins to something far more intelligent than your fearful, overworked mind, your divine inner wisdom. The 3-step miracle manifestation process. When life feels heavy and confusing, use this. 1. Awareness. Recognize that overthinking is the source of your emotional suffering, not the world, not your past, not your circumstances. It's your thoughts. 2. Surrender. Let go. Stop trying to figure it out. Drop the mental chatter. Stop forcing the answer to come. Trust that the answer will come in perfect timing from your higher intelligence. 3. Amplify love. Notice the peace that emerges when you surrender. Lean into that. Breathe into it. Let love, not fear, become the dominant vibration within you. It's in this vibration that miracles occur. Why this feels hard, and why you must do it anyway. Yes, it sounds simple, but simple isn't always easy. We've been conditioned to fill every moment with doing, thinking, planning, and fixing. But freedom comes when you stop playing that game. This is your invitation to step off the hamster wheel, to stop trying to control every detail, to make room for the unexpected, the divine, the miraculous. It's time to empty your cup. Let go of what you think you know. Let go of trying to figure it all out. Let go of the illusion that miracles come through striving. Make space. Stay open. Be still. Because somewhere within that stillness, in the space between thoughts, a miracle is waiting. Just for you. Act now. Before another day goes by, filled with distractions and mental clutter, pause. Breathe. Empty your cup. Your miracle is trying to reach you, but it needs room to land. Chapter 15 Summary. Creating Space for Miracles. This chapter emphasizes the transformative power of creating mental space, silence, stillness, and surrender to invite miracles and fresh insights into your life. Drawing on Zen wisdom, quantum physics, and stories from Edison and Einstein, it explains that true solutions and breakthroughs don't come from overthinking, but from letting go. By emptying your mental cup, you allow divine intelligence or inner wisdom to enter. Miracles arise not from effort, but from allowing, from creating space within your mind and heart. Action point. How to create space for miracles. 1. Catch the thought. Acknowledge that your suffering comes from your thoughts, not your circumstances. 2. Let go of control. Stop trying to think your way into solutions. Surrender the how and when. 3. Be still and trust. Sit in silence. Breathe and welcome peace. Trust that clarity and answers will come. 4. Magnify love. Lean into feelings of peace, love, and joy. These higher emotions attract insights effortlessly. Repeat often. Every time you get lost in thought, return to this practice. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Key reminder, you're always just one insight away from a completely different experience of life. Make space for it. What happens when you begin living in non-thinking, potential obstacles? Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. Imagine waking up one day and truly feeling, peace. Not just a fleeting moment of calm, but a deep, sustained serenity. No anxiety buzzing in the background, no stress chewing at your energy, no internal critic waiting to hijack your joy. Just clarity, just freedom. This is what happens when you begin living in a state of non-thinking. Not a dull, blank emptiness, but a vivid aliveness beyond the noise of the mind. But be warned, While this way of living is profoundly liberating, it's not without its challenges. And the greatest enemy you'll face? Familiarity, the fear of peace. We've been conditioned to equate stress with productivity, anxiety with achievement, overthinking with intelligence. So when you start to feel light, joyful, and unbothered, it's almost suspicious. Your mind, terrified of this unfamiliar calm, whispers, "This can't be right. You're not doing enough." Where's the edge, the urgency, the grind? And just like that, you're pulled back into the storm of thoughts. But here's the truth. Non-thinking is not laziness, it's mastery. It's the purest form of focus. It's flow. It's creation without resistance. When you stop overthinking, you start being, and that's when life responds. Why you must keep going. The mind is persuasive. It's a master manipulator, a salesman who knows all your weaknesses. It will make peace feel like a problem. It will make joy feel like a threat. But know this, feeling good isn't a red flag. It's the reward. When you stay in this space, when you refuse to let the mind drag you back into its loops, something extraordinary happens. Work becomes effortless. Relationships deepen. Synchronicities multiply. The right opportunities begin appearing like magic. Time even feels different, lighter, faster, more aligned. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the reality of living in non-resistance. This is what happens when you stop trying to control life and allow life to unfold through you. The role of faith. Make no mistake, this journey requires faith, not blind optimism, but a grounded knowing that the unknown holds more for you than the familiar ever will. The unknown is where your future lives. It's where your healing waits. It's where your potential rests, untapped, unlimited. The mind will beg you to cling to what's known, even if it's painful. Why? Because pain is familiar, but familiarity is not freedom. You must choose. Every day, every moment. Will you lean into the peace or fall back into the programming? One path leads to expansion, the other to survival. If you fall, rise again, and if you slip, and you will, let it be okay. Catch yourself gently. No guilt, no self-blame, just awareness. Because the moment you see that you're thinking again is the moment you wake up. This is the miracle. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to notice. And in that noticing, the door to peace opens again. Final word. You were born for this. You weren't born to suffer inside your head. You weren't born to live in cycles of stress, self-doubt, and survival. You were born to be free. Right now, at this moment, you have a choice. To trust in the unknown, to anchor yourself in presence, to let go of the weight of unnecessary thought, and discover how limitless you truly are. The miracles don't begin when you're perfect. They begin when you're present. So let go, stay still, breathe, and allow life to show you what it's been trying to deliver all along. Chapter 16 Summary. What happens when you begin living in non-thinking? Potential obstacles. In this chapter, the author explores the challenges that arise after adopting a non-thinking state of mind. While this new mental clarity brings deep peace, joy, and freedom, it also feels unfamiliar, often triggering fear and doubt. The mind, conditioned to equate stress with productivity and control with safety, will try to pull you back into old patterns. This is where many people mistakenly believe something is wrong simply because they feel too good. The chapter emphasizes that this fear is just the mind's way of clinging to the familiar. In truth, non-thinking leads to greater productivity, creativity, and a magnetic energy that draws abundance. The key is to trust the process, stay rooted in presence, and have faith in the unknown. If you fall back into thinking, don't judge yourself, simply recognize it and return to peace. Action point. Embrace unfamiliar peace. When you feel deep calm, don't question it, trust it. Recognize the mind's tricks. When thoughts arise suggesting you're too relaxed or unproductive, know it's just fear trying to reclaim control. Choose presence over patterns. Stay in the now, even when the unknown feels uncomfortable. Return gently. If you fall into thinking, don't criticize yourself. Awareness is enough to shift back into non-thinking. Have faith. The unknown is where all growth, abundance, and transformation reside. Leap into it with courage. Now what? There will come a time when you believe everything is finished. That will be the beginning. You've reached the end of the book. But this is not an end. This is a threshold, a sacred doorway into a new dimension of living. You've peeled back the veil of thought, glimpsed the truth behind the noise, and tasted the quiet, powerful presence of your soul. You are no longer who you were. And that is the point, because once awareness expands, it never shrinks back. Once truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. The you that began this journey may have been searching for peace, for clarity, for something more. And what you found is far more than information. You found yourself. Not the version of you shaped by anxiety or self-doubt, but the eternal presence behind it all. Your truest self, untouched, whole, and filled with light. You now know that peace, love, and joy are not distant destinations. They are here, now, waiting just beyond thought. That realization alone is revolutionary. It means that in every difficult moment, in every storm of emotion or confusion, you are only one breath, one moment, one surrender away from returning home to yourself. And yes, it's that simple. Your mind may protest. It will say, it can't be this easy. There must be more. But recognize that voice for what it is, the very thing that once kept you trapped. The truth is always simple. It's your thinking that complicates it. When you quiet the mind, the soul speaks, and what it whispers is beyond words, beyond logic, beyond limitation. So where do you go from here? You live. You listen to that still, silent voice inside that always knows the way. You trust that everything you've ever needed is already within you. Because it is. You stop chasing what the world says you should be, do, or have, and you begin radiating who you already are. When others ask what's changed, because they will feel it, you may not need to say a word. Your presence will say it all. You will shine differently. You will love more freely. You will walk into rooms and light them up. Not because you're trying to, but because you're no longer dimming your light with the weight of thought. You are now a walking invitation to peace. This book found you for a reason. This moment is not random. It's divine. It is the intersection of two journeys, yours and mine, and that in itself is a miracle. I am honored beyond words that you allowed me to walk with you through the sacred terrain of your inner world. But from here on out, the journey is yours. Carry this truth with you. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fear. You are whole. You are enough. You are love. You are light. You are free. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of a breathtaking new chapter. The one where you live, not from your mind, but from your soul. And in that space, anything is possible. Chapter 17, Summary. Now what? In the final chapter of Don't Believe Everything You Think, the author emphasizes that while the book ends, your true journey begins. You've now seen the power of non-thinking and experienced glimpses of inner peace, love, and joy that come from beyond thought. This chapter is a powerful reminder that truth is simple, and that everything you truly seek is already within you. Even when life gets tough and thinking creeps back in, your awareness is forever expanded. You cannot unsee what you now know. Others may still be lost in their thoughts, but you have awakened to a deeper reality. Now, your presence itself becomes the message. You live, love, and lead from your soul, not your mind. Action point. Begin each day by grounding yourself in the present moment. When thoughts arise, gently return to the awareness beneath them. Trust your inner wisdom and stop looking outward for validation. Let your life be the reflection of the peace and clarity you've discovered. Radiate that presence. Without trying, without force. Let who you are become your message to the world. The Art of Non-Thinking. A return to your true nature. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them. In a world addicted to overthinking, we have mistaken mental noise for intelligence and suffering for normalcy. But what if the real reason we struggle, stress, and suffer is far simpler than we think? What if the root of all our pain lies in thinking itself? This is not just a bold idea, it is a profound truth. Thinking is the root of all suffering, not circumstances, not people, not events, just thinking. The core revelation, every emotion you feel is not a reaction to the world, it's a reaction to your thoughts about the world. The good news, this makes emotional freedom surprisingly simple. You don't need to fix your past, you don't need to control the future, you only need to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they appear. When you stop believing your thoughts, you stop fueling your suffering. In that sacred space of non-thinking, you return to your natural state, a state of peace, love, joy, and boundless connection to life itself. The difference between thinking and thoughts. Thinking is active. It is effortful. It is the brain's survival mechanism, always analyzing, protecting, anticipating. Thoughts, on the other hand, are passive. They are divine downloads, flashes of insight, creativity, and inspiration from something far greater than your mind, infinite intelligence. When you stop thinking, you make room for these higher thoughts to arise. You don't become less intelligent. You tap into a superintelligence that has no limits. You don't live in reality. You live in a perception of reality. Every moment of your life is filtered through your mind's interpretation. The mind projects its beliefs onto the world like a movie on a screen. You think you're reacting to life, but you're really reacting to a mental film. Understanding this changes everything. If suffering is just a projection of thought, then peace is simply the absence of that projection. You don't need to add anything to your life to find peace. You just need to let go of what's not true. The path to non-thinking, a framework. 1. Recognize the root. All suffering stems from thinking. If you're feeling emotional pain, trace it back. It always begins with a thought. 2. Create space for the thought. Don't resist negative emotions. Witness them. Remember, you are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. Let the thought be there. Let it pass. 3. Let go and drop in. Release the thought's power by no longer believing in it. As you let it go, joy, peace, and love rise up effortlessly. Fall back into your natural state of being. Obstacles on the journey. 1. Attachment to thinking. But thinking got me this far. Yes, but survival isn't the same as thriving. What got you here won't get you there. 2. Lack of faith. Faith is the bridge between the known and the miraculous. Without faith in something greater, you will always fall back into control and fear. Fear of letting go. Fear is the bodyguard of your potential. The life you crave lives on the other side of it. Walk through it. Freedom awaits. Signs you're in a state of non-thinking. Time disappears. You feel light, inspired, expansive. A deep, unshakable peace settles in. You feel one with life. There is no fear, only trust. Building a non-thinking life. Action steps. 1. Create a non-thinking environment. Eliminate triggers of survival thinking, toxic media, negative environments, overstimulation. Add elements that nurture peace, calming music, nature, breathwork, minimalism. Audit your digital, physical, and mental space. 2. Morning activation ritual. Begin the day in stillness, not stimulation. Meditate, stretch, journal, breathe. Let infinite intelligence speak before the mind takes over. Protect your peace like it's your life, because it is. Has 3. Work with flow. Identify what drains versus energizes you in your work. Gradually eliminate low-energy tasks. Aim to spend 80% of your time doing what lights you up. Dealing with destructive habits. Bad habits are not flaws. They are unconscious responses to painful thoughts. To release them, become radically aware. Trace them to the emotion. Trace the emotion to the thought. Question the thought. Feel the insight. Release it and return to peace. The truth you've been searching for. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. You only need remembering. You are not your fears, your habits, or your thoughts. You are the spacious awareness beneath them all. When you let go of your thinking, you return to who you truly are, a being of love, joy, and light, connected to infinite intelligence. Peace is not a destination. It is your origin. Every moment presents a choice. Hold on to thought, or let go and come home. There is a version of you beyond thought. It is waiting, and the only thing standing between you and that version is one single thought. Let it go, and return to yourself.